المسلمين الذين جعلوا القرآن عندي. They are those who break up the Quran into bits and pieces. They make their own division when Allah has made His division. فَوَرَبِّكَ, I take an oath by your Rabb, O Muhammad. Listen carefully to this, because this will come back before us on Judgment Day. Listen carefully. فَوَرَبِّكَ, I take an oath, O Muhammad, by your Rabb. لَنَسْأَلَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ, I am going to question every single one of them. بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ, for what they have done to this Quran. So it is dangerous to make a new division of the Quran for recitation, when Allah has made it already divided. And when we do that, He will answer for it on Judgment Day. So then what is the way to recite the Quran with correct AJZA? The question now arises, if we have to recite the Quran the way Allah recited it, and if we are prohibited from breaking up the Quran, then on the first day when we see the moon and we begin the Quran, then we have to recite Al-Fatiha, and we'll have to recite the whole of Surah Al-Baqarah. Is there anyone who differs with me? We'll have to recite Al-Fatiha and then the whole of Surah Al-Baqarah. Otherwise, if we break it up, Allah is going to question us on Judgment Day. So why has Allah placed the longest surah of all at the beginning? I am inviting you now to think. It's good, you know, to think. Two things that are good. The first is to think, and the second is to eat durian. My wife is very happy to be back in Malaysia. She loves the durian. And why is it that all the long surahs of the Quran are at the beginning? Why? 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 And why is it that at the end of the Quran Allah gives us small surahs? Why? 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 Allah says, I have sent this Quran لِقَوْمِ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, to people who think. But the very famous Islamic scholar from India, before Pakistan was born, Dr. Muhammad Iqbal, oh yes, a giant of a scholar. You know what he said? He said this Ummah stopped thinking 300 years ago. And he said that 100 years ago, so that means 400 years ago. And he's right. He's right. Because our people either don't know how to think, or they're too afraid to think. Too afraid to think. So why is it that all the long surahs are at the beginning of the Quran, and at the end of the Quran they're only short surahs? You'll answer me at the end of the lecture. You have enough time to think. I'm warning you. You have enough time to think. So now then, 7 times in the Quran, 7 times, Allah has repeated something. And there is a law, a methodology of studying the Quran, that when Allah keeps on repeating and repeating and repeating something, it's a sign of its supreme importance. So when He says 31 times, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ, which surah? Surah Al-Rahman. The implication is there's something tremendously important here. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ, 31 times. But this is not the day and the time for us to explain that. So 7 times in the Quran He tells us, وَخَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ فِي 6 أَيَّامٍ. And He created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. 6 days. And this was so important is something. The foundation of the system of sacred time. Sacred time. That Allah created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. That when He sent down the Sharia to Nabi Musa alayhi salam, in that Sharia He gave them the law of the Sabbath. That on the 7th day, you will now commemorate the 6 days of creation. You're not allowed to work. You can rest and you can pray, but no work. The Sabbath day. And this was such an important law that He decided once to test them. The law came down, of course, to Banu Israel. One part of Banu Israel had conquered the city of Constantinople, so they were Christians, not Jews. And Constantinople lived by fishing. So what Allah did was, every day on the week, every day, no fish, no ikan. But on the Sabbath day, all the fish. So it's a test. Will they observe the law and refrain from fishing? Or will they say, we don't care 2 peanuts for the law and go fishing? One part of the Christian world decided to remain faithful to the law. And in that part of the Christian world, to this day, a man can never marry another man and get a marriage certificate. But another part of the Christian world said, we don't care 2 peanuts for the law. And they went fishing. And today, that part of the Christian world, a man can marry another man and get a marriage certificate. Everybody knows that except the politicians. But for the politicians, it is inconvenient to recognize that. So when they went fishing, what happened? Allah cursed them. He cursed them for violating the law of the Sabbath. And He said, Kunu kiradatan khasi'in, be apes. despise, meaning that you are now condemned, you're cursed to eventually live like monkey, bandar. That's the Malay word, bandar. What is the Malay word for monkey? Mune. Okay, mune. Monkeys don't wear clothes, they're naked. But there's nothing despicable about that. That's their way of life, that's their fitra. But these people will eventually show a preference for public nakedness. I spent 5 months in Pakistan 3 years ago. I traveled all over the country. I never saw the leg of a single woman. You look down your nose on Pakistan. I never saw the leg of a single woman. These are people who eventually will show a preference for public nakedness. The hemline will keep on going up and up and up and up, until eventually one day they will be naked. Is it happening now? Is it happening now? Why are you afraid to shake your heads? Yes. Monkeys do their bedroom life in public, but nothing shameful about that. That's their fitra. But these are people who will eventually show a preference for public sexual relations. That's a curse of Allah upon them. So if this was such a tremendously important law, the law of the Sabbath, to commemorate the 6 days of creation, what has happened to that law in this Sharia? Where is that law in this Ummah? How do we commemorate the 6 days of creation? Don't tell me it is Salatul Jummah, because that's the 6th day, not the 7th day. Our answer is, and if we are wrong, you must correct us. Our answer is that Allah gave us 6 long surahs at the beginning of the Quran. Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah Al-Imran, Surah Al-Nisa, Surah Al-Ma'idah, Surah Al-An'am and Surah Al-A'raf. 6 long surahs at the beginning of the Quran for a specific reason. And our answer is, all you need to do is to think, that's all. That these 6 long surahs at the beginning of the Quran, because after Surah Al-A'raf, the next one, Al-Anfal, is short. It's short. And that's not an accident. That these 6 long surahs at the beginning of the Quran correspond to the 6 days of creation. If we are wrong, kindly correct us. So when we see the moon and we start to recite the Quran, on the first day, Al-Fatiha and the whole of Al-Baqarah. On the second day, Al-Fatiha and the whole of Ali Imran. On the third day, Al-Fatiha and the whole of An-Nisa. On the fourth day, Al-Fatiha and the whole of Al-Ma'idah. On the fifth day, Al-Fatiha and the whole of Al-An'am. And on 6th day, Al-Fatiha, and the whole of Al-A'raf. We are now reciting the Quran in harmony with the system of time which has come from Allah. So what happens on the 7th day? They have the law of the Sabbath every 7 days. Yom Sabt. What day of the month is it today? Anybody? Huh? No, you don't answer. What day of the month is it today? Anybody? Which month is it? Zulhijjah. Yeah, Zulhijjah. You just heard the khutbah. So what day is it today? Put your hands up if you know. Look at that. This is a bad sign. The 7th. He knows the answer. Because he is following the correct answer. Today is the 7th day of the month of Zulhijjah. Today. So what is the Jews for the 7th day? On the 7th day we have Surah Al-Anfal, which is a short surah. Nothing happens by accident in the Quran. And Allah has separated the Quran into surahs for the purpose of recitation. And it is important for us to recite the Quran correctly because he says, ثُمَّ إِنَّ عَلَيْنَا بَيَانًا. He says, "Oh Muhammad, alayhi salatu wasalam, after I have taught you how to recite the Quran, only